Hi there, welcome to the Presgrove case, continuing on with a very important map analysis, focusing in on the party and the theme of alcohol and tracing back to the location of where some of it was bought from, which is quite far out by the likes of Jack Newton, Presgrove's friend, who's labelled as a defendant and responsible within the wrongful death lawsuit, which has supposedly been filed by Noah's family. Join me today, map analysis, markers, links, possible explanations, key events in between, and how much did alcohol play within it all? Not just the outcome for Noah, the death, then the possible murder, but stuff before that. How much more vulnerable did it make Noah at the time? And how much are others to blame? Because if you look at the documents, very important, which have been filed, it even mentions Stevie Howard, Will Coxon, who weren't physically present, but still have, as it's been labelled, ties, responsibilities to the party, the land, the knowledge, supposedly, of a party taking place and them allowing it. But could there be some kind of double standards where other people out there and party member, more parents, guardians haven't been included? See, when we look at today, and if you look back at the important documents all covered on my channel in recent time, if you want to see that video and all the other breaking news and the very important map analysis I did 2 days ago, it's all available top right corner where the I symbol is. Click up there, you get the full playlist of the case coverage and the recent videos. But in regard to the theme of it being to do with Noah, since Noah is the victim, in terms of the alcohol, how it's been played upon and worded, it's as if Noah Presgrove was the only one. It's very concentrated, but it's understandable with Noah being the victim and the outcome to him. But could you argue and say there's other partygoers that are victims to being supplied alcohol? Is it along the lines of being forced to drink alcohol, peer pressured? Now, it is wording, it's what's been alleged and suggested from the documents. It's just very interesting, the language that's used. And I have kind of re-quoted or rephrased what's been said and applied it to the maps as for little notes and markers. So it will become very clear shortly. But I just want to say welcome to everyone that's present during this live premiere. Share your thoughts and reactions in the chat box live on the right hand side of the screen. If you do have any additional comments, any thoughts or questions, whether you agree or disagree with alcohol, you can let me know down below in the comments. The overall question of today, and you can leave your thoughts below, could be, do you think alcohol is the be-all and end-all reason for Noah Presgrove's death? That if it is a murder case and someone or some people are truly responsible for beating and attacking Noah in a vicious way, if alcohol was taken off the table, but all events and motives and the atmosphere remained the same, would the outcome for Noah be the exact same, or would he have been better off? Because if better off, yes, alcohol could be deemed, labelled as the demon, the bad thing, but what about the people themselves, masked by goodness, and then when sipping from a bottle, oh, true colours are finally revealed. And it's only when it's too late till when it's shown and someone's on the receiving end, unfortunately. You let me know your thoughts in the comments there. If you do want to support my channel, below, pinned message, there is a PayPal link to follow through with. I just want to say shout out to Cleo for their support, super sticker. A few days ago, maybe 3-4 days ago in my live stream, I remember I was just ending the live and I think Cleo gave a super sticker, so appreciate that, Cleo. I appreciate your consistency with that language. Keep that up, more importantly for yourself. And big shout out to Tim Daniel, I believe, last night for their super chat, super sticker. Saw it towards the end of the live premiere. All good, nice momentum, keep pushing forwards and doing these original map analysis. So the order of how we're going to do it, straight into the maps with the markers, retell the story and try and understand how important is the alcohol situation, Has it been exaggerated or what? And how much of a pivotal role does it link to the likes of Jack Newton with the location and the store of purchase of alcohol? Let's head on over. Here we are. So it appears we're rather zoomed out, but there's a good reason for that, because highlighted in red following one of the main roads or highways leads up to the location of Jack Newton. But before we get into that, we don't know what time, what day, what date that occurred on. Was it Friday? Was it Saturday, Sunday, Monday? Did it tie in with encouraging Noah back to the party or encouraging Noah to the party in the first place? You got to take in consideration the distance, and we'll measure it briefly. The distance that Jack Newton may have covered from one place to another, if Jack was already at the party at some point, made it to up there and back, you could argue and say, why didn't Jack Newton give Noah a ride down to the party if he's capable of covering that much distance? These are questions and suggestions because we don't have the actual dates or times of when the events took place. It has been worded as information and or belief that Jack Newton purchased alcohol underage at convenience store in Marlow, Oklahoma. Now, how much certainty is that? Gathered information, sounds promising, and or belief, the belief that this happened. Is a belief strong enough? Will we get hard evidence? Will we get CCTV footage? I wonder. More about that later if we get about it. So how I've got it structured is on the right, key points mentioned from what we've learned in the case to more recent time what we've learned from the documents, and then in blue is kind of the order of possible events, what took place and key points regarding the whole theme of alcohol. Tried distributing it out as best as I can. The white lines link on to either an example of an event or linking on with what the court document is talking about and or talking about a certain theme. So first of all, we got the party house, of course. Now, in terms of what I possibly reread from the court document just recent or from articles, it was mentioning about Stevie Howard owning a trailer near to the party house. That seems to be better worded because I'm more familiar with that. And that would come across as trailer somewhere down here. I think it was Brenda that may have said about, I heard it was a mobile home. What, this on screen being a mobile home or the party house? The size of the party house doesn't seem quite mobile, rather wide. Not long, but wide in depth. So I don't know if you'd be able to transport that, but it's built up. I mean, it hadn't got a second floor, has it? So, but besides, that was just for a little bit more clarity, and hence why I originally put the marker down here, because it seemed to be true. Anyway, Noah Presgrove. Saturday, Noah arrived. When did Caden Pressy? Well, police interview, Caden said Friday. Partners in True Crime, Caden said Saturday, but he didn't want to talk about Friday. You make of that as you will. And Alicia in the background had said, oh, it was Saturday, but it was in the evening time. And we might as well acknowledge that in just a second, because one of the key points mentioned in the court documents is that Noah Presgrove was promised a copious amount of alcohol, a great quantity of alcohol if he went to the party. That seems to imply not so much to do with returning back to the party, but coming on down for the first time. That there is an incentive to come on down. But was that applied to every other party goer or specifically Noah Presgrove? Was it more so Jack doing the advertising, the persuasive language? Hey, Noah, okay, it's a bit of a distance, bit of a trek, but if you come on down to this party, there's going to be lots of alcohol, stuff that you like. It's going to be a great time. Fully aware that Jack, Noah and others will be under the legal age of drinking, but they're like, sure, why not? Should there be an adult legal guardian, someone of a much higher age, responsibility to be looking over them and making sure that they do stuff appropriately. Could anyone of that stature be present if they chose to be, if they wanted to be there? Well, maybe not enough concern within some alternative people out there. Maybe someone in the chat could name. We'll get back to that point. Hence why we move over on the right-hand side. Take in mind, these markers aren't just exclusively to the location, with the highway. I've just placed them here, so then it's out of the way of the other stuff, just so it doesn't get in the way. The second, which means the second which be Saturday, evening time, Jack Newton really wanted Caden Pressey at the party, supposedly. So 2nd of September 2023. Alicia, at a later point, could have been around October onwards. It has been documented on my channel. It could have possibly been audio by Alicia as a voice note message to someone on Facebook, which I relayed by making notes. Alicia was claiming that evening on the 2nd of September, Caden Pressey was at the Pressey household watching a movie with his mom and dad, Caden with Alicia, the mom, watching a movie, and Jack Newton kept calling Caden. And eventually Caden either answered it or decided to accept the offer of Jack wanting Caden down at the party. Interesting that. Now, it's been regarded by Caden that he's the best friend to Jack Newton, and I guess maybe vice versa. So it kind of makes sense why Jack Newton would want Caden at the party, best friends. Hey, come on down, it's going to be great. But then you could also understand why on the 3rd September afternoon time onwards that Jack Newton wanted Noah back at the party, because Noah had left earlier on the Sunday. On the Sunday, early morning-ish, after breakfast, Noah going his own way back to his place of living, and later on Jack wanting Noah back at the party. Does that link to the theme of alcohol? Okay, that's why I've got the red marker down here. What Caden Pressey said in one of the interviews, at least, could have been police interview, could have been Parts in True Crime. It's going to be one or the other, because Caden hasn't done many interviews publicly speaking. Police one being leaked, now public. Caden did say that Jack Newton promised Caden pay for gas money, travel expenses to come on down, because there's a fair bit of distance, maybe 40 miles plus there and back, and Caden be driving himself to refuel along the way, going to cost a bit. But Caden did say that Jack Newton never followed through with the promise, never paid Caden the gas money cost expenses, which is unfortunate. But that evening when Caden was at the Pressey household, which is over this way, is it Comanche or Duncan? Could be Duncan, just as an example. Over this way was Caden watching a movie, and Jack Newton, who's been at the party on the Saturday all throughout the day, maybe, likely. How many people would have been at the party on Saturday, as in morning time and afternoon? Did it really heat up in the evening? Because as for Caden has said he went to the party Saturday, but no given time. Alicia mentioned that when Caden did eventually pick the phone up and had a convo with Jack about coming on down to the party, decided to agree upon it, and it was almost past midnight, almost early Sunday morning when Caden Pressey got on down to the party and arrived, which is rather late, is it not? So Caden, it's interesting now, because if you think about it, Caden Pressey said, well, the party on Saturday, as mentioned, Parts in True Crime interview, the party on Saturday was normal. Nothing bad, it was all normal. How would Caden Pressey be able to comment on it when he wasn't even there for most of the day? And he only showed up almost past midnight Saturday evening time. Is Caden even in a position to be talking about the events on Saturday at the party if he wasn't even there for most part of it? Basing it off from what Alicia has stated herself, speaking on behalf of Caden. Always got to make that very clear. But besides the gas money expenses, did Jack promise Caden copious amounts of alcohol? Now, granted, in the court document, it does mention that other partygoers underage were drinking too. But specifically, it's more focused on Noah because of the case, because of what happened to Noah compared to others. I guess if others may have died or been critically injured, they could have been highlighted the same way as Noah was. And the focus on them being victims in a way and being forced alcohol, which I'd say is a bit of a step too far. You could argue and say the initial being offered alcohol and then drinking responsibly, whilst under the legal age of drinking in the US, technically once you're 18 and on, you are a young adult. So even though you might not be able to still do certain things because you're underage, you are of adult age to be making, I guess, adult responsible choices. And people can say, well, they're young, they're going to mess up, they're not going to be following all the rules and guidelines. I do get that. But can't always be blaming others when it's their own actions for deciding to accept that drink, to drink some more. If peer pressured or if vulnerable and being supplied alcohol or a drink being spiked with alcohol, then that is unfortunate, not the fault. But, was Noah Presgrove perfectly okay and excited and happy to be offered alcohol, to be promised a copious amount as it's stated in the court documents? If past a certain point of being drunk, really intoxicated and not wanting any more, but people maybe forcing another one on or trying to persuade or encourage with manipulative language, you could say, oh, there's a bit of darkness going on there. But the heavy theme seems to be from the documents is making Noah as drunk as possible, maybe a 3-day binge of drinking on and off. What, to make him as vulnerable as possible so people could do anything and everything to him, that Noah Presgrove wouldn't be able to fight back? What about any other partygoer present? Because at least when we're seeing footage of Noah and others, even if they are drunk, they're still able to stand, still able to talk, laugh and joke. They don't seem completely out of it. It's as if the court document has kind of exaggerated it with language and wording to maybe push the concept back to the social hosting. I'm just basing it off from what the language is stating and wording and then comparing it to the hard evidence and video footage. If there is later video footage, more so Monday onwards, which hasn't been released public or shown, and it shows Noah and or others in a different light, in a more negative way, drunk, vulnerable, out of it, unconscious, things like that, can't stand up properly. Okay, then you can say that there's a bit of a problem, but I just like focusing on these aspects here. So everyone in the chat, you let me know your thoughts that when Jack Newton really wanted Caden at the party and it's Saturday evening time, Caden at parents' house watching a film, Jack constantly calling, shows a level of passion, wants best friend to be at the party to have a good time. Caden, reluctant or not, still accepted the offer to come on down. Besides the gas money, do you think that maybe Jack offered Caden alcohol the same way as to Noah Presgrove from how it states in the documents? Let me know your thoughts there. And then obviously on the 3rd, Sunday afternoon, evening, Jack Newton, whilst it was mentioned online on Facebook that Jack was desperate to have Noah back, maybe in dark ways, suspicious ways, it's not been backed up with hard evidence. That just simply Jack wanted Noah back at the party, not to come for the first time, but to return back. For any dark reasons, or just because Jack was missing Noah? Did Jack have to play the alcohol incentive in order to get Noah back to the party? Like, please Noah, come back. I've been to the convenience store, Marlow, Oklahoma, as an example. We've got some great alcohol here. You'll love it. Please, come back. Return back to the party. How do you think those conversations went? Are those call logs even available? I wonder. Anyway, with that being aside, the presence of alcohol at the party, the hosting of it by those that live there, Logan, Carter, and more so Avery, the birthday girl, and the one of legal age to be drinking. The ones on the sideline, Stevie Howard's father, Bub Wilcoxon, or just Wilcoxon as it's mentioned as the defendant, and Stevie Howard, the mother to Carter and Avery, should have known illegal drinking would have occurred at the party. And that's roughly quoted from the court document. So Wilcoxon and Stevie Howard, who weren't even living there at the time or just not physically present on site of the land, but because either they own parts of that land building wise and or just linked via family and possibly knowing or hearing good conversations with family and the party girl, whether that be via text, call logs, online social media, invites of a party going on down in that area, which Wilcox and Stevie are very familiar with. It links back to their responsibility, but if they knew the party was going to take place and they knew that alcohol was going to be present and they knew underage people were going to be there, these people should have done something about it instead of sitting back. So by allowing it to happen, people are wording it as if the blood is on their hand. But could you argue and say that's a bit too harsh when considering you had other parents and guardians elsewhere, having camping trips at home, doing whatever, and their kids, right, were at that party? One kid, 10 kids, how many? Regardless, that these parents and guardians doing other things in other locations, but knowing that their kids were going down to that party or finding out about it via Snapchat and watching along to see how things are going, whether to monitor their kids. And they're not literally kids, more mid-older teenagers and possibly of adult age onwards, but they themselves would regard them as their kids. It's a normal thing to use, right, when you're a parent. So if Wilcoxon and Stevie Howard should have known better, because they should or would likely have known illegal drinking would have occurred at a party like that, of course, as it's mentioned in the documents, well then the same blame or responsibilities should be added onto the other parents and other guardians of the other partygoers who may or may not be innocent, as in, if you knew that your kids were going down to the party, why did you allow it to happen? Why did you not call the police? Why did you not get reported for social hosting laws being broken? Is it because you wanted to turn a blind eye? Because you felt that, well, if your kid or kids are there, it's going to paint a bad picture of yourself, so it's best playing dumb, acting dumb, turning a blind eye and keeping it like that and acting clueless? I wonder. Because it's been mentioned, as we've seen online, and other people have interpreted it, that certain parents and guardians of some of the party goers, but they were watching along on Snapchat, watching them party, watching them drink. But what was some of the excuses? Well, we didn't know what they were drinking. Yes, we saw them partying and saw them having a good time and may have watched Noah dancing here and there, but we didn't see what was actually in the drinks. It could have been anything. Well then, couldn't Stevie Howard and Wilcoxon to an extent have said, well, we weren't there to see it. So, okay, drinks are likely going to be there to quench people's thirst, but who's to know whether it's alcohol or just a fruit juice? And then others will say, yeah, but come on, Stevie Howard, Wilcoxon, familiar with parties in the area, they should know better. They should obviously know what a party and young people are going to equal alcohol probably and having a good time and maybe getting a bit reckless. But then again, parents and guardians to those party goers should know to an extent as well if they've got a history or knowledge of their children going off partying and maybe getting drunk, maybe drinking a bit too much, underage as well. It's just because whilst the defendants are going to be labelled and called out because it links to the party, the hosting, ownership of the land, the buildings and ties by blood via family and partygoers that were present and host themselves. I get that. But other partygoer parents and guardians that don't own the land, that don't host the party, aren't going to be tied in with that or Noah's death. But if they knew of a party taking place, and if they knew of underage drinking, which involved their children, kids, but they didn't think to report it to police, they just sat back, did nothing, well then, just imagine if they did do something. If they did report it, even if it's at the cost of their own kids getting in trouble to some extent, if others reported it in the moment after seeing the Snapchats live at the time, that could have prevented Noah's death. That could have saved him. But people didn't do that. And those that didn't do that and etc. are instead just blaming Wilcoxon, Stevie Howden, some of us, Caleb maybe, anyone else in between that may have not been there but still knew of the party, knew of the alcohol, or interpreted that it was going to be a certain way which involved drinking, playing the blame game but focusing and concentrating on one party, one side to get all the flack. But if other people had a chance, a choice to make a difference, could have been a different outcome, but it didn't happen. It sounds dark, that, but that's the reality. I just wanted to make that as clear as possible. So when we focus in on these markers now, specifically the party, Noah promised lots of alcohol if he went to the party, meaning on the Saturday. Do we know what time Noah attended the party? I'm guessing it seems likely that Noah was probably at the party before Caden was, based on how Alicia words it with Caden. Interesting. Did Noah Presgrove turn up drunk? Some people from the dark side have said that Noah Presgrove already turned up drunk, intoxicated. Well, to be supplied any more alcohol on top of that links back to the court documents, how it's being worded, that the court documents don't acknowledge that Noah turned up drunk. That's just one thing. A 3-day binge drinking ? Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But surely there was a break in between to possibly sober up. I mean, for Noah to drive on down to the party house. And then what? Sunday morning, breakfast time, heading out to Waurika? How did they get there? How did Noah Presgrove get to Waurika with the group of friends? And where should we do it? No particular order or place. This is just like roughly putting it down. Do we see Donabon's house? Is that Donabon's house? Don't think so. But no, in all seriousness, this is not like the exact place, but it's in Waurika where they went on the Sunday. Sunday breakfast time. It consisted of Noah, Jack, Caden, Logan, Avery, Carter, Brylan, Isaac, Jasmine, I believe, at least 9 people, as Caden worded it in the Parts in True Crime interview, went to a gas station to get breakfast. Maybe that type of breakfast was to sober up as well, because that can help with recovery, speeding it up, getting some refreshments, drinks, water or whatnot. Did it benefit Noah Presgrove? Was Noah Presgrove sober when he woke up Sunday morning, or was he still drunk / groggy? What was his blood alcohol levels like in his system? And considering that he drove down to the party Saturday, when it came to Sunday morning, did Noah drive his vehicle down to Waurika? How many people tagged along in his vehicle, or did everyone get into their own vehicles to drive down to Waurika, all parked up to the gas station, then eat? And then they all drove back to the party house to drop Caden off, to drop the girls off. And then the guys, including Noah, with the exception of Caden that was left behind at the party house, went back out to town. Did anything happen then? Party house, Caden girls dropped off. Noah Presgrove, Jack Brylan, Isaac, any of the names I've missed out on, went back out to town. But what town? The place where they just came from? Waurika or Ryan? It was never mentioned or clarified. It was mentioned online that also hung out with Caleb, Jack's father, all hanging out together. So there's a responsible adult and a guardian present there with the guys, the boys. Was there any drinking in town? Did Caleb allow any drinking? Now, that's not been mentioned in the court document. Got to make that clear. But is there any extensions in which Caleb gets dragged into it or mentioned? Take in mind, there is an article that has just come out recently. I'll be doing a video about that tomorrow. It's quite exclusive and important. But right now we're focusing in on the theme of alcohol to understand it from the documents. So you got town Ryan, Warwick, Duncan onwards. Which town was it where they went back out to? After that, though, that's when Noah supposedly drove back to his place of living. Had a shower, may have slept, and then later on in the day, at some point, hanging out with his girlfriend, supposedly, how it's been mentioned online. And then in the afternoon, evening time, Jack wanting Noah to come back to the party. But, when Noah had left town to go back home, he must have been driving his own vehicle, obviously. But was he sober during those moments, or was he drunk driving? Does anyone know? Because that could be additional issues. The main themes of driving drunk is to do with the side-by-side rollover which occurred on site of the party property and not on a public road. So there is a difference there. But when Noah was in his own vehicle, gone down Saturday, leaving Sunday to Warwick with the friends, then back, then forth, then driving on to his place of living. Was he drunk during those moments on public roads? Was anyone drunk during those moments? And if anyone was, were they passengers or drivers? Does anyone know? That's why I put a question mark to the 3-day binge drinking, because it sounds relentless, it sounds bad, but from how you interpret the language used in the court document, papers, it's implied that when Presgrove was given alcohol and he was drinking it, became drunk, intoxicated, was fed more and more and more over and over again, as if he was like force-fed alcohol to drink. Sounds kind of like over the top. Of course, you get these like party games where people may say chug this and that and have like a pipe sound which you've got to force into your mouth and drink and challenge one another. But we didn't see that in terms of the party footage. Didn't really see too much footage of people drinking either. So the words don't always add up to the video footage, but it depends if the right video footage is being shown, unless there's any hidden. Beside that, it was mentioned in the court document, beside the side-by-side rollover, specifically more focused on the Sunday, that Noah Presgrove was driven around whilst intoxicated. That's the descendant is when Noah was being driven by someone. And that's deemed as a bad thing. I mean, if you were being driven home or driven to a hospital, you're a designated driver and Noah drunk as a passenger, you're doing the right thing. You're taking them to safety or somewhere where they need to be. But if you're just driving about in a field, what good does that do? But is that a bad thing to be driving an intoxicated Noah who's a passenger about on the field? Is that really a bad thing? I mean, Noah driving the side-by-side and then rolling it over whilst drunk, yeah, that is bad. But if Noah is a passenger, is it as big of a deal? Or is it more so, well, the friends should know better? But why is it all about Noah? Why is it all about, well, we've got to treat Noah like this and like this. We should have done this. We should have looked after him more so he would have been safer, etc. What about all the other party goers? What about the even younger party goers that may have not died or got hurt, but they were just as vulnerable, if not more? As I said, the court document is all about the wrongful death, so it's going to be really focused in on Noah, and with alcohol it's going to follow as well. And it might sound like at times it's neglecting of the party goers. It's just how it is. You might be wondering, well, how am I wording or linking or applying? Because it's quite vague, is it not, the document? Well, to say that Noah was driven around as a passenger whilst intoxicated, all I can think of, because it did say an all or like a side-by-side and kind of off-road vehicle, Don't know if they mean it with the same exact language and wording as the rollover incident, but Jack did have a Ford Ranger. I'm thinking maybe the Ford Ranger is different to the side-by-side, correct me if I'm wrong. And this Ford Ranger event took place Sunday afternoon, going into the evening, went on the way back, and it involved Caden Pressey, who told the story in Parts in True Crime interview. Caden Pressey, Brylan Sweat, Isaac Rojas, Noah Presgrove and Jack Newton were in Jack's Ford Ranger, and it was further expressed elsewhere in more depth later on in the case that it took place on one of the fields. This field here, as you see, perimeter of it, or the field behind, up to a certain point where it may be fenced off elsewhere. So enough distance to go up and down if there's any culverts, any bumps in the ground. Caden did word it though that on the way back, when going down a road, because getting into the evening, ended up jumping a culvert, bit of airtime, and it's quite exhilarating. But what road? There's no roads, is there? It's just a field. A field is different to a road, unless it's like on the sideline, could be considered some kind of road or track, as you see there. Or, unless that's a fence line, if there was, is there any other roadways? Because we've got to be careful, I think that's the plank crossing, which is fenced off, as it's been mentioned by people online. When it comes to the party house property, it's fenced off, so you couldn't get to it. But at least with the field, I don't really see any roads. So why did Caden Pressey in Parts in True Crime say that they jumped a culvert when going down a road? The only road I can think of is the dirt road here, which leads down to the party house, or the highway, but I don't think there's any culverts there, any bumps. And then the rest is just all field, unless there's a slight little track somewhere. You can see like track marks, I think, as it goes off. So that could link in some way. I mean, is that the entrance point just there? Wherever there's a gate, wherever there's an opening, they got on. That field there facing south, or that field there facing north, driving about. Were they all drunk? Are they all to blame in some way? In the moment, you could say they should have known better. So Caden, Brylan, Isaac, Noah and Jack. Jack, the driver, supposedly. But Jack didn't roll it over, unlike Noah with the side-by-side. So who was ultimately more drunk? There's other factors to take in mind, though, not just a single one out. And whilst they were driving about in the field, what else did they do? Well, Caden said that they were shooting at animals. Hogs or something. Shooting for the fun of it. Was it clean instant kills, or was it slow, painful deaths? Sounds rather reckless and cruel to animals. Just killing animals for the fun of it. Not even proper hunting, just messing about. Very reckless. So you got possible drunk driving, drunk passengers involving Noah driven about. Drunk people possibly using firearms to shoot the animals. Could have gone very wrong if someone else was in the field or nearby. They could have got shot instead. Just that one event itself is bad enough, is it not? When it took place. Who was doing the shooting? I mean, it's been mentioned that Jack had a AR rifle, that Isaac had a 12-gauge shotgun and Brylan had a hunting rifle, so they could have been the ones to use. Did Caden Pressey shoot anything? Don't think so. But I guess on behalf of Caden and Alicia was the one that said, well, Caden did mention about getting in and out of the vehicle, and he did have grass on the inside of his shoelace, so the same could have happened to Noah, hence why debris of grass was found in the shoelace from the autopsy report. Quite possible. But why did they keep getting in and out of the vehicle? Why? To walk around on the field, to walk up to the animal, to pose with it, to look at it, to watch it die and in pain? Who knows? I mean, depending who did it and who agreed or found it fun, considering people like to say, well, it was like a pack of gorillas, a pack of wolves, brutally, viciously beating and attacking Noah Presgrove defenseless and making him suffer and feel pain. It was so horrible and disgusting? Well, it just so happens to involve Noah Presgrove, Caden, Brylan, Isaac, Jack, etc., who seemed quite okay, supposedly, in driving about and shooting animals, may not even be clean kills, just for the fun of it. That's animalistic behaviour as well. So let's just get the balance in. Not everyone is a complete saint or angel, but people aren't deserving of the outcome as in what Noah had, I guess, gone through. But still, dodgy, questionable actions took place. Now, would those actions have taken place if alcohol wasn't on the table? Makes you wonder, right? Moving on, yeah, we've heard a side-by-side incident already, the rollover, Noah injured, and some others. Texas boys possibly involved as passengers. Then we've heard about it, Jack Newton and Avery, a verbal fight with Noah Presgrove, no time given, but could be interpreted around the bedroom debacle when Noah called Avery out, verbal insult, one thing could have led to another, Jack may have stepped on in. Done a video of that already on my channel recently, Map Analysis, be sure to check it out. And then the malicious beating, how it was worded in the documents. Would it have been a malicious beating if people weren't drunk, if alcohol wasn't there? Would there have been a beating anyway? That's why we link it on. It was like a prong to a fork. Are we to blame alcohol for these 3 events? And we could also include the one driving about the field in the Ford Ranger, hunting and shooting animals for the fun of it. Do all these events correlate back to alcohol being to blame, and it's the be-all and end-all of everything, that people's actions and behaviours can be excused because it's alcohol to blame, and then you look then to those that supplied the alcohol and then blame them? So anyone else in between who's of a under the legal age of drinking could do the most unimaginable acts to animals or something, but they can be excused as long as maybe they're innocent to someone else's death, or the person that ends up dying, they're excused, exempt from what they did earlier because something else is more important, and there was a bigger reason as to why it caused it all because of alcohol. But people of a certain age, preferably over 18 onwards, those specifically, to be of adult age, to be drinking responsibly, or just not at all because of being underage, but being an adult age, to have known better. It's not about playing the blame game, but it's about being realistic. And I'm sure some people will take it the wrong way and think, with this court document, with the wrongful death lawsuit, and we're focusing in on others away from the defence. No, I'm looking at it overall holistically. We'll get a bit more into Jack, but didn't people make the conscious choice to pick up that cup, to pick up that bottle, that can, and drink it? I mean, was there anyone at the party under 21 that was led astray thinking what they were going to drink was a fruit juice, healthy, fine, normal, non-alcoholic, and it turned out to be alcoholic, and then there was spiked? Was there anyone who was vulnerable or peer pressured into drinking alcohol and they didn't want to, but they were forced to? Or did everyone drink because they wanted to, even though they probably knew they weren't supposed to, they still did? And then how many parties till this day and in the past have people of the same age, similar elsewhere in the area, been drinking as well? And how many times were they reported? If they've been reported, fair enough, to police. If they haven't, and then you get this one particular event where it does go wrong. And it is unfortunate that if you do have parents, guardians watching from afar of the party to some extent, they may to some extent know or assume or presume that alcohol is present. But, whilst these kids are there, it looks like they're having a good time. No need to intervene, no need to spoil it or be a party pooper. But then someone dies, right? Outraged, report it now. Let's get the justice. Just imagine if it was reported earlier. Could it have saved Noah's life? It's not about blaming that people didn't do this or didn't do that, but if people are going to then start going all in on Wilcox and Stevie Howard, like how the document says, they should have known better, it's all on them to some extent. Well, parents and guardians on the sideline could have played a role in kind of assisting or helping to save the situation, to protect Noah or protect whoever. But that just wasn't done. If by nature, if originally, the blueprints are that Will Coxon and Stevie, and if it's from previous parties as well, already knew, instantly knew, were absolutely told exactly what was going to happen at the party and alcohol, and there was even a thumbs up or a nod, like, yeah, sounds like a great idea, and saying to the daughters, you have a great time, have a great birthday party, enjoy that alcohol. And if they knew that there's going to be people of different ages showing up and they're like, so what, we've done it before, well then you could say, there's a bit of a responsibility there, and it's unfortunate at one point it does go wrong. These parents and guardians, alternative, external, elsewhere, how many of them actually knew that their kids were attending a party? How many of them knew where they were really going? How many of them knew that there was truly alcohol present? Got to look at it from both sides, I know. Now, we talked about alcohol a lot. Did it influence most of the behaviour and actions and attitudes there at that party amongst multiple people, and not just Noah and not just Jack or Avery? Maybe. If we highlight it in red and we follow it, and I will try and zoom along, this is linking on to the mention of Jack Newton specifically supplying alcohol, buying it, and then giving it to Noah at a certain point. As for what day or time, not given. But if we follow it, quite some distance. Marlow, Oklahoma. And hopefully I did say that correctly in pronunciation. If not, it's not the end of the world. I will measure the distance as well. I believe it might be further than where Noah Presgrove lives. So if Jack Newton is willing to go above and beyond to get alcohol, depending on the day, because it's relevant, then Jack could have been quite capable in giving Noah a ride to the party house and back, considering the best friends looking out for one another. If Jack Newton, wherever he was living at the time, before going to the party for the first time, as in the beginning, like if Jack attended the party on a Friday or a Saturday, but before Jack had even sat on down to the party, he called in at a place, convenience store, to get the alcohol, so then gone down to the party and then specifically reserved that alcohol for Noah, for when Noah comes on down. You could understand that possibly why Jack didn't go back and forth after that, because once he got to the party, he remained there for most part of it until he needed or wanted to go, and alcohol was bought earlier. If it was bought midway through the party over the course of certain days, then Jack could have given Noah a ride. At what point then? I mean, yeah, let's just also acknowledge that with the theme of alcohol, people have said, well, Gage Jessen was the one to give Noah a ride down to the party. Gage Jessen likely sober. Gage Jessen also giving Mikey Lair on Sunday specifically a ride down with Noah. Those that say, well, couldn't Jack Newton have done it instead of just calling Noah to say, come on down, I really want you here. Well, if you really want him there, then go yourself and pick him up if you really want it badly. But has anyone ever thought to think that maybe Jack, at that time when making that call, was drunk himself or over the limit, so he couldn't have driven? Just like how Caden Pressey had to reject Noah when it came to early Monday morning or so. We got a place there called Fuqua. Interesting. I'm not swearing. It's just how it's pronounced. Animal Hospital. Interesting. We're nearly getting there. Scott Family Dentistry. Who wants to go to the dentist? Interesting. Let's see the drill. Now we're in Marlow. Any partygoers lived in Marlow at the time? I wonder. We got Oklahoma, Pilates and Core. Strawberry. Interested? Does it work then? I don't know. I just wanted to see if the markers work or not, because we probably will apply that. Oh. Does it show any photos? There we go. It's just all kinds of things show up on screen. So what is it? Mia Maven. You got Pilates today. You're going to tag along with Strawberry. Show up at the class. There you go, Strawberry. All under control. There's a fan. There's air conditioning there, so you'll be able to breathe just fine. But anyway, besides that, focusing back in, just up this way, the convenience store. And this is where we kind of highlight Jack Newton and his presence involvement, but then we've got to focus in on the importance of an external place store which has enabled and allowed alcohol being bought and distributed elsewhere towards underage people. But then referencing back that the person that bought it originally was underage at the time. Major issues there. If we go on Street View, and we will look inside of the store just for the sake of it. Take in mind it might be of a light-hearted tone. We'll get to that shortly, but we need to mention the important points first. So if you kept on going down that way, the way we came up, you'd get to the party house eventually. Outlaw Tunnel, acceleration. Do we have anything of interest present or whatnot? There you go, look at that. Nepalese. It serves beer, there we go, vapes and more. Okay. Convenience store. And it's selling what was going to be bought and then taken to the party or returned back to the party, depending what time Jack went. Nepalese employee, inside worker. Jack Newton came on down from whichever direction of the road, parked up. Did Jack refuel, get some gas whilst he was there? Maybe, maybe not. Went inside of Nepalese, grabbed some alcohol. Was it a bottle or two? Beer cans, a pack of them, a 6-pack? Who knows? And then went, get into the desk till. No questioning, no asking of, do you have ID? Are you of the correct age to be buying this? No question to sort like that. Just simply allowing Jack to buy the alcohol and be on his way. And yet Jack Newton was underage at the time, and probably based on how the person looked as well. Jack looking young, which you'd expect, but not questioned or followed up on about, do you have proof of ID to be buying this alcohol? Was it just down to the employee on the day? Like if it was a different worker, would they have been more strict or not? The policies, the guidelines, are they more lenient at Nepalese? Was it a one-off? How many more times has it happened where there's been a party somewhere nearby or further afar? A party girl underage has nipped into Nepalese, got some beer, and it's been accepted, yet underage. So some responsibility will fall onto this place and the worker, the business, won't it? So it just goes to show that whilst people may like to blame exclusively Avery and maybe Carter and a couple of others, you've got a convenience store here that enabled part of partygoers getting drunk, and that Jack Newton, as it's worded in the document supposedly, based on information and belief, that the alcohol bought here was for Noah Presgrove. Now, did Jack intentionally do that? I'm buying alcohol specifically for Noah, then I will use this to entice or encourage Noah to come on down to the party or to return back to the party. This is my only way of being able to get him to come on down through alcohol. Is it an incentive? Or is it just more innocent and it's, well, stocking up, getting some good drinks in. Here you go, Noah. And Noah accepts it. You know, depending how you interpret the article, you could say, is the document implying that Jack Newton and this specific alcohol is in particular connection with the death of Noah Presgrove? Nope, it's not the be-all and end-all. It's accumulative amongst others and other host, actual host, that would have had and supplied their own alcohol to different people or left it on the side for anyone to take or drink. So it's not all falling on Jack, let's make that very clear. But, you know, even if people want to defend Jack Newton to some extent or defend others, do people from, regardless of what side you're on, do we all agree that this convenience store is somewhat responsible within the party and the social hosting, not direct social hosting, but the presence of alcohol and allowing and welcoming underage people to just come and go with it and then take it wherever, and then bad things happen? Those that distribute and buy, you should know better, but those of adult age and probably much older with more experience working in the store and just allowing anyone to come in to buy the alcohol. Isn't that a bad thing, right? And it makes me wonder that based on that theme, oh my God, why have we got the Pilates class still on? It's not time yet, man. Yeah, you might be flexible, but you're not as flexible as Strawberry. Not a chance. Can do the splits from London Bridge to San Francisco. Anyway, let's get back to Terrell, because you've got the mini mart correct. Now, I'm not too sure if there is... I don't know if you can actually get onto the photos. I don't think you can. I might have tried that. The mini mart. This could well be the place, whether probably maybe a Saturday. It would have to be a Saturday onwards, because Caden Pressey said he was at a convenience store, little shop. Could well be the mini mart as we see on screen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Caden Pressey left a comment or a post on Facebook, and he mentioned that he and some of the party girls, I think including Avery, because she's at the correct age, was buying alcohol. And the other people there, including Caden, were underage. But the one actually buying the alcohol, supposedly Avery, was at the correct age. Now, in between that, was there any asking of identification? Because even if you are of the correct age for drinking, but you look young, you're still probably going to be questioned. Can we see proof of ID, some identification, just so we know your age and if you are truly who you are, etc.? Would that have been applied at the mini-mart? Compared to Napoli's convenience store, what is it like, the reputation for if they do alcohol as well? I can't quite see what they do. Hunt Pizzas, Keep It Crisp, Bud Light. Well, there we go. That seems to be alcohol that's served here. Beer, more so. Cans. Maybe this was where Caden was at with some of the girls. But did they ask for proof of ID? Yes or no? Does anyone know? Was this place more strict or more lenient or similar to the Napoli's convenience store? Because if these party goers, host or not, but more so host, that go out to places to actually obtain the alcohol in the first place, whilst they get the alcohol and then start dispersing, spreading it out at the party to anyone and everyone, that's irresponsible, especially if you're of the correct age and you should know better, and yet you're hosting it and you're the birthday girl and you're giving it to different people. That's kind of bad. But just in general, these party goers and hosts, they had to go somewhere in the first place to obtain the alcohol correct. And how many of those times when they were obtaining alcohol, specifically at convenience stores, were they asked for proof of ID? Because if most of the time, or if all of the time, depending, like with Jack, if they were never asked or questioned about age or identification and they were just allowed to buy alcohol whenever, wherever, then what that means is social hosting charges on these party goers, they may learn with time to do better, but it doesn't change the main issue at hand. The main issue at hand would still continue on in this world or in this state, etc. You punish the party goers, you punish the host, but what about the convenience stores, the buildings, the shops which have and supplied the alcohol in the first place and then enable underage people to be able to buy it? If this isn't followed upon, not specifically this store, but like with Napoli's as an example and theme, if they're not followed up on or investigated or punished, then it just means that more and more party goers with time are still going to go to these stores, exploit it, get the alcohol, and keep on doing it over and over again. That maybe the laws or the stores, the policies should toughen up, become more strict then for more change. So when party goers and people of younger ages that don't know better and acting recklessly when they go to these places to get alcohol, they won't be able to as easily. Probably not going to stop them completely because they'll probably still find a way around it. They might even get the parents to get a hold of it or steal it from elsewhere. But at least it reduces it a little bit more. So I think that's what we need to acknowledge as well. And yes, it has been mentioned in terms of the court documents, specifically one place over here with Jack Newton. And why is it only with this? What about the other convenience stores? Is it because identification was given then? Is it just because the people that bought it then was of the correct age, but then how they used the alcohol when back at the party distributing it, that's when it falls all on them, responsibility-wise. That Jack Newton was not a host because he does not live at the party, he does not own the party property, but he was able to go into a store underage and still get alcohol. And maybe Noah Presgrove could have done the same thing if he had done so, but supposedly he didn't. He probably would have been able to based on the attitudes of maybe some of these workers. Now, if I just type in Marlow, Oklahoma, Napoli's, just so we can get the marker up. Napoli's, is it pizza? Is it really pizza? Okay. Do we have 2 markers showing up? It looks like it. Napoli's, pizza. Well, we don't want the pizza. We just want Napoli's Marlow petrol station. There's a pizza restaurant. We're not too focused on that. Do we have the photos? We do. So, there's 2 ways of looking at this, just as a disclaimer, to break through the darkness with a bit of light-heartedness, so people are able to breathe and just have a moment, a break, just to process everything beforehand, just to lighten the mood and the tone just a little bit, right? We've focused hard enough on the case already, we've been serious enough, right? But there are still some important points to take from it when we look at the photos, just to see what the store looks like inside, where the CCTV cameras may be. Do we see the till? Do we see the desk? Do we see any alcohol in the background as an example? Are there any rules, papers on the side and whatnot? Okay, that's what we're going to do. To try and interpret it from the point of view of Jack Newton that got into that store and was able to just walk around freely and get alcohol. As to what quantity, who knows? So, and take a moment, we'll probably get some light-hearted ones as well, like this pizza. What the hell has gone on with it? It's as if someone decided to scrape all the toppings off with their teeth. Oh my God, that's so petty. Beauty Gurumo, I know you're on the road so often. Are you going to be calling in here to get a pizza? I don't think so, because this is disgusting. And as for the toppings in the background, it looks like uncooked pepperoni and some salami. Piss poor. And black olives. Kick them out the window. Do not want any of those black little nipple-like balls on my pizza. Get them away from me. More little brown balls as well. Probably just like meatballs, actually, but they're quite small balls. And then the sauce in the background as well, which is a bit low. Running on the sauce. Where's the sauce? And what is that topping? Anyways, cheese. Is that strips of bacon or meat? It just looks a little bit sparse in some ways. It's not even been cut up. Oh my God. Not even cutting it up with a pizza cutter. That's real petty. Now, in terms of the store, let's make one thing clear. What the hell's going on with that floor? It needs cleaning. Got some issues there. Can't quite see what the sign, probably chocolate. What the Americans would say, candy. And then you got a glass box contain unit with items for sale. Hopefully we get some photos where it's a bit closer. It seems to be like either a vending machine or dispenser in the background, Bud Light. There might even be a coffee machine as well. And then we got a little pizza part. So it's quite unique in terms of the size and what they're doing there. There's a piece where you get the pizzas from. Better flooring as well. Oh, the snow's come on in real quick. Who's driving that, moving all the snow, shoveling it about? Yeah, Joyce Burgow! We know it's you, Burgow, the Burgonator. Because like you said, you know, you can work harder than anybody else. The hardest person out there, the hardest working person, bowling those balls all over the place. Yeah, multifunctional, dimensional, fixing water leaks and heaters and taps, going behind Donna Bond's house off bail, getting against kebab Bond, filling it up, opening the back door entry and now driving snow, plowing through the fields. Even Tim Daniels a little bit petty and jealous how multifunctional you are. And then as for in the background, I don't know who that is. Probably Donna Bond secretly recording Joyce Burgow just to show us hard evidence and proof that if there's a protective order filed at any point, scarecrows come running on in out of nowhere and anything else in between, any travesties or any car crashes. There's no brick walls going to be broken down, no glass walls, no glass ceilings. It's all heavy plant work, man. No plant crossings. Makes no sense, does it? But here we are. And now it's pretty empty. I think everyone's just left. but the ground's wet. I don't know what time of the season. Is that a car wash? Oh my God. Who needs a car wash when Wallach Ralph's there to bend over backwards with a sponge? Don't get too carried away, Strawberry. Calm yourself. And then we've got innovating indulgence. Ooh, how fruity those ice creams are. What flavour would you like? Maybe a little lemon, pistachio, nuts. I'm sure you want some of those nuts. Or would you rather raspberry? Or, as we can see clearly, once again, the appearance of strawberries making it in. Oh, how I would love to lick some strawberries right now. Where's my strawberries at? But we do have dairy on the side, and is that Mountain Dew? And Coke, Diet Coke, normal Coke. Yeah, just a drink. No substances about. Don't even need to worry about that, man. No camels smuggling any coke in. Oh yeah, Big Ow. Watch the petrol pumps. You're going to be crashing into it. Even Donna Bond's clutching her pearls. She's not even wearing any pearls. Dropped the necklace a few miles back. Got to pick that back up afterwards. Isn't that right, Donna Bond? Don't worry, you Kermit the Frog, your little assistants to go and pick it up. Oh yeah, Donna Bond, you get the local fire department. Yeah. Pick it up for you and pass it on. Very lucky you are. Isn't that correct? I think the reason why Donna Bond is secretly in the background is because I want to go to this convenience store to see if there's any RAF products. Yeah, what a ride that was. Oh, speaking of which, what do we have here? Energy drinks. What type do we have? Jungle juice. Gonna get very wild once you get your lips around that seal of the cup. We got white gummy. Oh my goodness. Raspberry lemonade, green apple, energy drink. Wow. Orange pineapple. Oh, strawberry. Licking your lips right now. Isn't that right, Strawberry? You want that pineapple, but you know it's going to cause a reaction in your mouth. But that pain, that suffering and passion, you're going to push for it because it's something that you really want. Yeah. Gummy bear, cotton candy, pink burst, peach ice. Oh, not peach is going to make us depressed in seconds. We don't need that petty stuff. Minty, really? Lemon lime ice, decent. And strawberry watermelon. And I know Strawberry right now is getting really excited hearing that drink. A strawberry type energy drink with watermelon? What's the point of watermelon? It's just full of water and juice and not much taste. Kick it out of the window. Knock Andrea on the head. And no, not the Andrea in chat, but a different Andrea from a different country. Don't worry, all under control there. Sorry, what time is your appointment? I don't know. I think it's coming about now. And that watermelon is going to fall and land. So Strawberry, it looks like the drink is off the table for you. You're not going to be having that. Get me back in. I want to get back in. Oh, yeah. Got donuts, ringed ones so you can hook them on anything. Wrap a donut around your finger or wherever else if you want it filled deep. If you want cream in the donut or in the balls, some donut balls there, probably filled with all kinds of stuff inside. Nice ringed donuts. Yeah, okay. And then we got that as well, whatever that is. I'd say it's a bit underwhelming. It's not quite filled enough. It needs to be a bit deeper. A couple of balls present, about 3 balls. Where's the other one gone? You only got half of a pair. That's unfortunate. Must have lost him on the way down. Anyway. Got that as well. Looks very wet and oily and slippery. Oh, don't you dare, you dirty bastard. I hope that's not a strawberry. No, it can't be. It's probably just a leaf. You got some garlic bread. Oh, hands off my baguette. How dare you stick it in that dirty oil. It's going to make my baguette all soggy. It's going to bend and flop all over the place. And the tomatoes. Oh no, am I going to trigger the whole of the US nation? It's not tomatoes, is it? Tomatoes. Sorry. And then, is that an egg? Poached? Whatever. I'm sure most of this food is probably getting Strawberry very inspired right now to go and cook and all kinds of stuff and realise and think, you know what? I think I'll just have ham wrap instead. moving on. Oh, there we go. Who's this person? Is this Travesty? Oh, yeah, he's moving about from job to job. Isn't that right, Donna Bond? Rebecca Gagliari? Yeah, you better careful when you show up. Yeah, probably get sued for trying to buy a pizza all of a sudden. All kinds of weird links being made. What else do we have down there? Unfortunately, we can't zoom on in, but this is probably Strawberry's delight heaven right now. Like, oh my goodness gracious me, is that really true? You got all kinds of bread. Where's the tiger bread at? You got no tiger bread? I want to report you, I want to file you a complaint. And I rate you really low because you're absolutely terrible, disgusting, dirty little bastard. I want to knock you out, mate. But guess what? We've got some nice fruit, got some veggies. Yeah, right, that'll be enough. We'll shove it in my baguette. Yeah, I'll make a ham sandwich. Where's my balsamic vinaigrette? Where's my balsamic vinaigrette? Oh my goodness gracious me, you got none? Poor Andy. Andy, do you have any spare for me? Oh, Andy, please, can you give me some? No, you don't have it? Oh, I'm really disappointed. Oh. Is that... Oh well. You just have to make do with what's present, Strawberry, and shove it in your mouth. Gotta eat the food, man. Survival of the fittest. Yeah. Get me back in. I don't care about that. Oh, is this where the Donna Bond kicks in, looking for the ref? Can you see anything, Donna? The clock's ticking in the background. You gotta find it real quick now, or it's too late. Yeah, Donna, just grab the whole lot. Yeah, fit in your back pocket. Didn't know your pockets were that deep, Donna. Oh, is that right? Tim Daniel's been sewing and stitching you up, but not in that way, creating deeper pockets with nice shiny sequins inside, and Rebecca Gagliari is gagging at the mouth because she just got no sequins and had been given some brown buttons and the plastic, not even metallic. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Rebecca. I need some counselling right now, don't you, on the treadmill. Serve a pizza up as well on the side. That paddle probably could use to slap someone on the back. Don't know why, then. Oh, there we go. Delicious hot pizzas. Is that so? Is it hot enough? Maybe. Anything else of interest? I don't think so. Okay. Oh yeah, we got some more there. We got OCB, whatever that means. What does that say? Unbleached. What are you bleaching? Your rear end or something? The lighters. The vibes. Oh my God, Beauty Gurumo. Get those vibes going. Glowing incandescent lights illuminating the platform as you rise in your career. Goodness gracious. And then got the vapes as well. Now, the only reference to the vapes would be, I guess, when Robin Smith, Ashley Chadwick, on the Parts in True Crime interview, made a reference to were any of the partygoers smoking at the time at the party or just in general, or were they more vape users? Did any of the partygoers have a vape at the party? Not that it's that significant, but it's just, like a little reminder which pops up in my head if anyone does remember that particular interview. Any other things? What is that? Is that supposed to be a cat? Green sweets. What on earth is that? Anyway, looks like someone's left the keys on the bloody desk. Oh no. And that appears to be it for the photos. How interesting. So with lightheartedness aside, hopefully you found that part, the map analysis specifically, interesting. The theme of alcohol, where it came from, and that even if partygoers or hosts are punished and deemed as responsible, and certain family members are as well, the chains of stores which could be supplying the alcohol to these people, that needs to be looked at as well, and awareness needs to be spread. As for from then till present day right now, how many parties have taken place since where there's been underage drinking? Maybe no death, maybe no injuries, maybe it was perfectly fine and positive, but how many other parties since where there's been underage drinking? Will it ever stop? Dark reality is probably not, and some people could use the excuse, well, people are allowed to do this, people are allowed to be dumb and stupid and this and that, but then when it does go wrong, then it gets up people's back. So there seems to be a cut-off point, doesn't there, when attitudes do change and shift. Just an observation to make. Do we need to acknowledge any other events in particular? I mean, just in general, when it came to Caden Pressey, at 5:15, as he claims, if not later. Even at 5:15, was Caden fit to drive? Or was he still a little bit drunk or whatnot? Truly, at what point did people's alcohol levels dip or go down to the required amount to be safe to be able to drive and stuff. Because at least from the court document, it's worded as if Noah Presgrove was constantly hooked on alcohol all the time, and it's a bit exaggerative. So I don't know if people are using exaggerative language to sensationalize it. It's still bad what's happened and reckless, but let's just add in a few extra words and how often it was. I mean, some people have obviously read the wording and it seemed as if Noah Presgrove was almost like tied to a chair and forced to drink alcohol against his will. I mean, was there ever a theory, motive, or just a motive within the case that certain partygoers wanted Noah to be as drunk as possible so he's totally vulnerable and then people could do anything to him and Noah wouldn't fight back? Did people think it was a good idea to make Noah as drunk as possible because they know Noah is a good wrestler so he would be able to defend himself and get out of things, but if he's drunk, he won't be able to fight back or do much? Was it planned out that much? Well, like I said, it wasn't, or at least the documents suggest it wasn't pre-planned, premeditated, more in the moment. And sometimes when it comes to the presence and theme of alcohol, good moments, bad moments, regretful moments where people may kiss and then regret it afterwards, it can be heat of the moment. And it can go to the extremes of a possible fight or words exchanged and they weren't meant, but in the moment they were exchanged and it's caused a lot of hurt, pain upon someone. So you look at it in different ways like that and the impact it can have, the lasting factor, the lasting effect onwards. Alcohol can be temporary, but loss is permanent, as well as other areas as well. So we'll leave it there for now. If there are any updates, I'll continue with that. But there is a very important news article with people speaking out amongst or amidst the document, the lawsuit. So join me tomorrow, likely, for that coverage and my reactions to it. If you found this video interesting, be sure to hit the like button, share the video, and hopefully more awareness can be spread. Shout out to the people that have returned to my channel and those, of course, that continuously watch. Try and get the momentum going once again on the case. I've tried keeping it alive throughout, but it has dipped in awareness just because people have given up or got a bit tired. But with this new news coming about, it's probably going to bring some people back. And like I said, with the news outlets, media outlets and all coverage, big burst all of a sudden. When's the last time did they do that? Probably with the autopsy report back in, what was it, May 2024? And now is it June or approaching July? Or we're already in July, round about there. Been a big gap in between. But as soon as the news outlets, media outlets start doing their coverage, general public unaware of the case, more likely to listen to that first, then go elsewhere to do the research, then find my channel or elsewhere, and then learn more. Sometimes bringing in new people, fresh eyes, fresh faces can be good at cleansing the previous mess. And whilst cleaning up the pre-existing mess and tying up any loose ends, it means any new people that come along won't be as confused as what we were along the way. Not quite always me, but it applies maybe more so to you, that you go through all of the shit, you put up with all the BS, you get all the confusions, the headaches, the stresses, the threats, the harassment, to be able to clear those pathways for then new people to come along who get it easier, but it does make it better overall for everyone. So that can't be forgotten. So thanks for watching. My name's Wyatt Raff. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye for now.